The boss fight on the tomb is hard, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I was really frustrated after we were struggling on this last night when it launched, that I went onto Reddit and saw some of the people who had finished it saying, this is easy, this boss fight isn't that bad, people are overblowing it. That's really, really frustrating to hear. I'm here to tell you, as someone that has completed this solo, it is a hard boss fight. But I worked out a strategy that I was using this morning, and this is how I managed to complete it solo, and it made it much more manageable. I still think there's some hard sections, there's some difficult bits, and it's not perfect because I'm still going to recommend that you use some gobblegums, which I don't think is the best thing. I'd love to be able to just do this Easter egg easily without any gobblegums, but at least you're not having to use the really, really rare ones. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. I'm not going to tell you how to do the entire Easter egg. I've got another video for how to do that if you need to watch it. This is just going to be the boss fight. But in terms of setup for this, the only gobblegum that I would say is super, super important is Idolize. Idolize makes one of the last sections of the boss fight much, much easier. You could do it without it, but it will make it much, much simpler for you. And things like Killjoy, anything that will let you spawn an insta-kill, that's super useful too. In terms of weapon, I'd strongly suggest using the ASG without Dragon's Breath rounds, because that'll actually stop you from doing damage to the boss. This is much better than the GPMG that I know a lot of people were recommending. You do so much damage to the artifacts with this, and all of the boss zombies at the end, all of the elite zombies. You can mince them down so much faster, so I'd get an ASG and probably put Cryo on it. That seemed to work really, really well, and slowing down enemies is always a good thing. Obviously, other than that, you'll have the upgraded ice staff from the Easter egg. You need that. Don't lose it after you need it for the steps. Keep it in the boss fight. It's super useful. And obviously make sure you've got as many perks as possible. There's obviously some that don't really matter, like Melee Macchiato or Death Perception. Don't worry about them. But make sure you've got the main set of perks and you've got the full set of armor. If you want to get the golden armor, I did a video on that a few hours ago, so check that out on my channel. It's not as hard as I thought it was. With the same setup you're going to be using for this boss fight, you can get the golden armor quite easily, but you will need an Idolize and a Mutant Inject to do it. We don't need them, but they make it much, much easier. So you could get the golden armor that way. When I did this boss fight, I actually didn't have the golden armor. I just went in with my normal plates, so I think you should be fine. Right, that's enough setup. Let's get into the boss fight. So when you get into the boss arena, the first few stages are super, super easy. So what I would do is, as soon as you've activated it by interacting with the artifact, just go to the right and kind of hide behind these stairs. There's some stairs here, and if you crouch down next to them, the lasers won't hit you even when they're at the lowest point. And for the first phase, all you need to do really is keep on charging up the ice staff. Then when a zombie gets close to you, fire it off. And then that will put the kind of blizzard thing on the ground. It will kill any zombies that get anywhere near you. You have more than enough ammo because you get a max ammo every phase in this, so that's not going to be a problem, and you probably only have to do it like 5 or 6 times in each phase. The artifact in the middle will start off swinging its laser around, and it will go up, and then it will come down again, and then it will go up again, and then you'll actually hear the laser stop for a second. When you hear the laser stop, that's your cue to just fire another frost blast at the floor, a blizzard to protect you, and then look up at the artifact and start blasting it. With the ASG, you should be doing like 3,000 damage to it, so you'll do a ton of damage and just break that artifact. And then you can go pick up a max ammo when it comes back down. But now there'll be 2 separate artifacts, and you can just do the same thing. Hide in the same corner, fire your staff off when zombies come near. There'll be a few more zombies, and obviously the lasers are coming by twice as often, but it doesn't really make that much difference. You're just doing exactly the same thing. When it goes up, it'll come down again. When it goes up again, wait until you hear the lasers stop and then fire off one of these charged up blasts, and then that should protect you while you try to destroy 2 of the artifacts. Now it seems like in this first kind of phase of the boss fight that you have to destroy 4 of these in total. So if you can destroy 2 at this point, not only will it not spawn some enemies, that's kind of what you're doing when you destroy them. You stop them from interacting with the things on the side and spawning enemies. But yeah, in the first kind of complete phase, you just need to destroy 4 of these artifacts. So if you can do 1 in the first time because there's only 1, then you can do 2 in that one. Then that means you only have to do 1 next time around when there's 3 of them. You actually only can destroy 1. You might have noticed already, by the way, this is how you damage the boss. So every time you break one of those artifacts, it does a chunk of damage. if you don't break an artifact, you don't do any damage. Like, if you only do sort of like 50% damage to one, that doesn't count as any damage at all towards the boss. It's all or nothing when it comes to destroying these. So that's kind of why the ASG is so good. And it's why you need to use that Frost Blast just to kind of make sure you've got the ice around you protecting you, so you can do as much damage as possible to the artifacts. Now in this last part of the first phase, there's going to be 4 artifacts swinging around, so lots more lasers, but you're still completely safe here by the stairs, so just make sure that you keep on blasting it. There's going to be a few more enemies dotted around. When they go up high like this, I like to just sort of wander around because you don't have to worry about the lasers, and just pick up any armor or ammo that's dotted around. When the lasers stop, you need to do the same thing, fire a blast off, and then destroy one of the artifacts. You actually won't be able to shoot any of the others. It will come up as immune for any of the others, so don't worry about that. Just go pick up your ammo, and now you're on to the tricky part. So you saw there, I just popped a Killjoy to get an insta-kill. That's because now in this second phase, instead of having to just wait for the things to be vulnerable, there's now going to be enemies carrying these artifacts. So some enemies will be running around with big red artifacts in them. You need to kill them, and then they'll drop an artifact, and then you've got like a 10-second or so window to try and do as much damage to the artifact as possible. If you damage it enough and break it, then it will do a chunk of damage to the boss's health, which is at the top. These enemies are super dangerous. If they get close to you, they can one-shot you. I saw that happen to Milo on Mr. Waffle's stream. That's really, really scary. There are some other enemies that will drop the blue ones. That doesn't really matter. If you get a blue artifact dropped, don't worry about it. You can just kind of ignore it. But try to burn down those red ones as much as humanly possible, as fast as you possibly can. You can see here I used Ether Shroud just to make sure I could do the damage. And I'm popping Idolize because then obviously I can do more damage. The way I basically approached this part of the fight, which is the tough part of the fight, is to try and burn these enemies down as fast as humanly possible. I did try and destroy some of the other boss zombies, so amalgams and stuff, if I saw them, but really I was focusing on any enemies that had that red artifact. I just wanted to kill them as quickly as possible, and then make sure that you destroy the artifacts that they drop. If you don't destroy the artifact that they drop, then essentially it's like wasted, and it will spawn a load more of these blue ones instead. So it gets like progressively harder because you'll be running out of plates, you'll be running out of ammo and stuff like that. Ammo does spawn in the middle whenever you destroy an artifact, but it's just way harder to get them because of all the lasers and all of the enemies. Here, like, I've used up Idolize, I've used up Killjoy, I'm just running away. You do not want to let these enemies get close to you. So give up on the whole hiding under the stairs thing. Stay downstairs if you can, because there's way more cover, so you can just keep on running around. And then, you know, slide away a little bit, get some distance between you and the enemy, and then turn around and blast them as much as you can. Ether Shroud, super useful here because you can go invisible, and you can see there I could do some damage and then just destroy it. And once you get to this point where there's only about, what's that, like an eighth of the health bar left, then you'll hear the music change, the sound changes. Enemies will still be spawning, so you still need to kill the enemies that are about, but now you're going into the final damage phase where you have to do enough damage to the final artifact, otherwise it will wipe you, it will just kill you. And I very nearly died doing this. It spawns a max ammo in the middle, so make sure you pick that up to make sure you're fully loaded. Kill any scary enemies nearby. I actually didn't kill one of the zombies here, which is what caused me some of the problems. But then you just need to blast that final artifact. It's stronger than the other ones, so it's a bit harder to hit. You can see I literally left like, what was that, like 2 normal zombies, and they ended up downing me. So I very nearly lost this. This was a bit nail-bitingly close. But then once you've done enough damage to that final artifact, it will fade to white, and then you'll know you've completed it. If it doesn't fade to white, if like a purple pulse comes off it, that means you're about to die. So unfortunately, yeah, you need to start the whole thing again, which kind of sucks. But that is the whole boss fight. I really think this strategy of kind of the first phase where you're just sort of waiting for it to go up and down, just hide behind the stairs, that bit's super easy. That second one, I really feel like trying to get it done as quickly as possible is the key to this. Just use things like Idle Eyes, use Ether Shroud, make sure that you're being really aggressive with the shotgun when you get a chance to, when you've got something that makes you invisible or invincible to the enemy. Make sure you take advantage of that and do as much damage as quickly as possible, because the longer you stay in that phase, then the harder it's going to be, like the more difficult that final part is going to be, because there's just so much that can go wrong. It's so easy for you to accidentally get killed. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see guides for with the Tomb or Black Ops 6 zombies in general, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.